Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode number 49. This is the podcast for the week of, was this March 19th? I'm Ryan Higgins. How you doing? I'm joined by my lovely co-host, as always.
Why do you... Lovely?
Are you not lovely?
Lovely?
Are you not lovely?
Are you his bitch?
No,
I like his
I am
Green
not
Lantern
his bitch.
hat.
What is your name, lovely assistant?
Omar, I'm going to cut your nuts off. Brock Sager.
Who else is here?
Charlie West.
And down the far end.
Omar Brodrick.
Okay, Toby's
Omar,
not here.
the soon-to-be eunuch.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
Toby's not here this week. He had to go to something called a basketball game. I don't...
Yeah,
Watch a whole bunch of tall, skinny guys run around playing with the ball.
Props to Chris Mullen.
I don't know.
Flat tops forever, baby. Tonight's his retirement party, or they're retiring his number. So
I can assume a basketball game is a game where you are taking a basket and you are throwing it at people like a dodgeball, correct? I mean, that's sort of what I assume this is.
well, I mean, there are balls that are thrown.
Okay.
Like human balls in people's faces.
Oh, okay.
We like to call it teabagging.
Okay.
Because they dunk on each other.
Okay. They throw that into a basket. They throw human balls into baskets. Is that what it is?
Maybe this
If
will
it's
have to
done
be-
properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There you
Are we
Excellent.
talking about the old school basketball?
Well, Toby will be in to fill us in next week on this newfangled sport that he's going to. So I don't know. I was watching.
What, he's going to a basketball game?
I was watching the Caribbean T20 cricket tournament last night, so I mean that's all I know. So don't mind me. Oh shit! What the fuck was that? Okay, yeah, let's talk about some comic books here. Actually, I'm going to read an email first. Is that okay, Brock?
Why are you asking me for fucking
Waiting to
permission
find
to
out
read
what
an email?
comic books we're going to talk about.
Ooh, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about this. Got an email from a guy named Miles. Hello, Miles. He says, I've been thinking of adding Spider-Man and Daredevil to my reading list and was wondering where to start. Would Brand New Day be a good jumping on point for Spider-Man? Do I start with Miller or Bendis' run on Daredevil? And he also says, wasn't Swamp Thing and Animal Man 7 awesome? I'm glad I picked it up per your recommendation. Yes, they were.
Yes.
Spidey. Brock, you've actually kind of came back to Spidey as of One More Day.
Well, I don't read One More Day. Ever.
Will you stop now? Oh, well, the Brand New Day.
The brand.
Sorry.
You don't read One More Day. Right. Read Brand New Day. If you start there, you're good.
Maybe.
The only concern with that is that's a good 100 issues at this point. It's been running for a long time.
Yeah, God, it has to be more than 100 issues now.
Yeah, especially since they turned Amazing into a weekly book.
Yeah, it was 3 issues a month for a while.
Yeah, I think it's about 100.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to go quite that far back. I would say you can if you've got the interest in reading that much. But
Well, Marvel's having the digital sale right now.
yeah,
Not that we're going to get any money from it.
Well, they just started
Dicks.
they just ended their Spider Island run, and then
Spider Island finished, and
you could honestly
they've been floundering with the last couple of story arcs. They're
I would
going to
say-
that.
Well, but they're doing the whole Johnny Storm, Spider-Man are going to be moving in together thing.
I would say start with the upcoming arc of the Lizard, just because it's tying in with the movie. It's to bring back
if it's
Lizard.
not, well, it depends. If they're incorporating the Lizard, then it's the Lizard that's been going on since Brand New Day.
Yeah.
So that's there's a little bit of development there. Just start a Brand New Day.
But that's a lot of books.
And it's not all good.
Spider-Man, you can read, you can jump in anywhere.
Yeah.
You're pretty much
Yeah,
fine with
that's
it.
a good description there.
Yeah. Daredevil. Omar, have you been liking this new Daredevil stuff?
Oh, yeah. Waid
Yeah.
got me back into Daredevil. I kind of stopped after Diggle's little Dark Daredevil run.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Shadowland.
Daredevil. Yeah, Shadowland. Which was, I think, there were a lot of concepts that were cool, but it was kind of half-assed in the end. It seemed like he just had his hands in too many different things.
I mean, that was the end of the book, Shadowland,
Sure.
and then they
Sure.
restarted it with this stuff. So, I mean, don't even bother going back. Start with Waid's.
Well, to me, a lot of it depends on what you're talking about here. If you're looking for a nice long chunk of Daredevil to give the character a shot, yeah, the Miller stuff stands up to the test of time. The Bendis stuff was really good, really interesting. I wouldn't jump in on the Brubaker stuff since that really is influenced by the Bendis stuff and where it was at the time.
Well, I would say get the Kevin Smith trade, get Guardian Angel, start with the Brubaker, or start with the Bendis stuff. Read Brubaker, read through read through Diggle's run, that ended it through Shadowland, and then just pick up the Mark Waid stuff. Yeah, again,
Yeah,
if
but
you, if you want a long run,
yeah,
it's a
but
good run.
If you're just looking for a good jumping on point that doesn't involve a massive investment then just start on the Waid stuff. It's excellent.
Yeah, I think actually there was a little tie-in. If you're also interested in Spider-Man, I think Spidey and Daredevil had this little tie-in with Black Cat, and Black Cat always spices it up. A nice little,
she
menage a
trois.
Which is fun.
They're doing another tie-in soon with Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Punisher.
Oh yeah,
no.
I think that's what the Avenging Spider-Man
is this, a 90s book?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I have a question. Black Cat is supposed to be unlucky, right? That's just her thing. Like, she causes people to be unlucky. How in the hell are all of these dudes getting lucky with her?
Not in bed.
There's a lot of innuendo.
She was unlucky.
Well, especially from that one issue where he's smelling his fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Shut
That's
up.
awesome.
She causes unluckiness if she wants to.
Yeah. And for a while there, it wasn't in her control. I remember that was a whole story arc in Spider-Man where she was causing bad things to happen to him unintentionally, but, I mean, she got it back under control.
Yeah, so there's some answers for you. So hopefully, I got to keep saying every time we have a podcast that Daredevil is so good.
Oh, it's incredible.
Did I read the last issue yet? I might not have read the most recent one, but
I did.
It reads like it totally reads. I mean, it seems to me like Waid is kind of like creating a lot of like. It feels very like there's this kind of rhythm to it. It's like a jazz, like classic jazz, like Coltrane or whatever. I mean, when you read it, when you look at it, it has this kind of this different element to it that doesn't quite feel like any of the stories that are out right now.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't read a lot of Waid stuff at least recently.
No.
So.
And I mean, I would also say that even Waid stuff is being influenced by a lot of the stuff that happened in Bendis's run. So if you do read the Waid stuff and you really like it and you want to get more of a history, the Bendis stuff is a good place to go back to get a more in-depth understanding.
And Brubaker's run basically takes right where Bendis' run left off. So
yeah, it's almost like there's not even a pause. You don't even feel the change in the way it's told, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's this one cool story that I just loved. I think it was maybe like one or two books where this is the time I think when Brubaker was still also writing Iron Fist before it went over to Fraction or to whoever else followed it. I forget.
Is it Dwayne?
Swierczynski or whatever his name is. Savartsky or Crystal or I don't know. Anyways, so and for a little bit of a time, I guess Danny Rand was dressing up like Daredevil, and he was like, going out there, and there's just these two little panels where it shows Daredevil's fist turn. He has the fist of Kunlun power up, and then he just totally smashes him. But in a Daredevil costume, I was like, oh,
yeah, that was oh. That was right at the beginning of the Brubaker run.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. There was an old, in the 90s, there was a Punisher Daredevil Nomad crossover, if I'm not mistaken.
Nomad.
Hey, Nomad's awesome. Written by Fabian Nicias at the time, also writer of New Warriors. So this is kind of a throwback to that Daredevil Punisher other character team up. So Spider-Man's a good book to team that up with. It's funny. I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but since we talk about Mark Waid a lot, I know you guys hear this thing at WonderCon. Well, we talk about briefly WonderCon after this as well. But Mark Waid basically said, "Hey, I'm ditching most of my comics. I'm going to actually start up like this digital comic thing." Did you guys hear? Brock, you heard a little
bit about it.
Yeah. So I don't have all the details in front of me here, but Mark Waid's basically he's going gung ho into the digital comic realm. He's got free stuff on his website right now on markwaid.com. You can actually go and I think he's going to have them either for sale or free on his site, and then I believe the hope is print copies will follow later. So there's been a lot of.
So he's going backwards?
Well, no, it's like the digital comic and all the web comic stuff. They start
creator wise, he's going backwards. I mean, he's been working in the industry of print for so long, where a lot of people start out online doing digital comics.
Well, now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he's taking a step backward to doing that stuff.
It's not a step. Well, I wouldn't call it a step backwards. It's just he's selling his collection, which is pretty vast, to fund this new thing that he's doing. Because I know he's doing the Marvel Infinite Comics for Marvel, obviously.
What is that?
It appears to be some sort of web or online based comic, not a motion comic like we've seen before, like those sort of animated panels, but it's like from what I understand, it's sort of there's action and it flows from panel to panel and the word balloons pop up in order, and it's less
They used to have a system like that back when Marvel had a bunch of free comics up you could read. I remember.
Right.
I read a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man that way.
I could totally be wrong because I haven't seen the video yet, but I believe this is kind of what it does, where it's sort of it's like Comixology's guided view, where you go from panel to panel, from balloon to balloon, but it's a little more animated, a little more, but it's not like a motion.
Is this like that VH1 thing?
Well,
pop-up video.
The pop-up video, is it like that?
I don't think.
Well,
so.
no. The way it used to work on Marvel's site, because I used to love this, because you'd actually get the panel without any word balloons, so you could see the entirety of the original art, all inked, and then the word balloon would kind of just pop up to fill in the rest of the panel. It's almost like when you're rendering an image and it's doing layers, but it was a little more animated, so you
it faded in.
Yeah, basically.
Zoomed in.
And
twirled,
I actually always really liked that format of reading on Marvel's site, which is, I mean, to their credit, I caught up on Ultimate Spider-Man that way and then immediately started buying Ultimate Spider-Man and such to support it. So it's not like that method doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it's a really good way to read comics, actually.
Yeah, I've tried using Comixology's guided view, and I find it really distracting, just personally. But, I mean, if you're reading on a phone or a smaller device or a smaller tablet, I get that it's probably a little different. I still prefer the full page, but
I actually prefer both because I do go back.
You prefer both?
Yes, I do. On my tablet.
Wouldn't a preference be one over the other?
Well, no. The way I tend to do it is...
You like them equally?
Yes, I like them equally because I have my tablet set up that I can easily go to the guided view, but even when I go to the guided view, when it first goes to the page, I get to see the full page and everything and the way it's laid out. And then when I'm done reading it, it will go back to the full page, so I can kind of... The one thing I do like about the guided view is I don't tend to read word balloons out of order when they do some weird...
Yeah.
So you're a perfect candidate for that Marvel AR.
Wow.
So you can hold your phone over your tablet while you're reading.
Right? That is dumb.
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about this because
we didn't. We talked about the 52, which I was...
Yeah, so Marvel. Yeah, I guess we actually should talk about this too. Well, anyway, so Mark Waid, his digital comic thing seems pretty cool. I know there's been a lot of on the retailer forums on the private side, and then some of this has now become public as of today, Monday, where some of this posts have been printed on Bleeding Cool. There's a lot actually of kind of anger from the retailer end that Mark Waid's kind of trashing physical comics, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a case if he's trying something different. If he was like, no more physical comics ever, digital only, okay, well then I'd agree with him.
I think it was him saying, "Oh, I'm hawking all of my comic books, physical comic books, to do digital comic books." I think just how it was said.
That's like Kevin Smith paying for his movie with his collection. You know, I mean, it's that sort of things. It's like, Mark Waid, I think at this point has written, some of the biggest comics that have ever been published, and especially in the last 20 or 30 years. The guy wants to try something different. Cool. If they're good, something like Freak Angels that Warren Ellis does, it's a webcomic, it's a free webcomic. I sell a bunch of those trades. Girl Genius, I sell a bunch of those. Penny Arcade, it's all free. But people want to buy the physical copies.
Yeah, if you like something, that's the thing is, if you like something in digital format, you'll want to have a physical copy of it, which is why a lot of these...
Well, look at this, like
Kickstarters,
like Order of the Stick. They got like over $1 million in order to reprint their webcomic collection. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, the way I kind of look at it also is, over the years, you've seen a lot of people wanting to get good control over the work they're putting out, and you hear some of these crazy things on trying to get something into print not being that easy, especially getting into stores and into the hands of people. And if he wants to basically get something out there, but without signing up with a particular publisher, which it sounds like this is the way to do it. There's no way he can say, I'm going to sidestep Diamond and previews and try and get it into stores. There's just no real direct market for that right now.
And you get to pay up front for print comics. So if you can get money through advertising or through like 99-cent sales of your collections or whatever, through your website, you make money. You can then fund the print comics, which gets to even more people. You then take that money and you bankroll back into your site. You create more content. It's just never ending.
Another example of this is Radiohead. You're a fan, right?
Oh yeah.
They did pretty well, right? Just doing their own thing.
They made way more money by doing that. and that allows them to continue to make more music. So yeah. Absolutely. Radiohead put an album up for free, or they put it online and said, and Nine Inch Nails did this too. A couple big bands have done this, and they said, hey, pay whatever you want. You want to pay a penny? Cool. You want it for free? Cool. You want to give us $100? Cool. And they got on average $20, and they wouldn't see $2 from every record sold, let alone $20. So yeah, I mean, people are always willing to pay. Kickstarter is a perfect example. As a consumer, I get it. As a creator, I get it. I want there to still be places for the stores going forward, because I think it's a very important part of the.
I think that's what the Kickstarters are supposed to help out with, is kind of getting that startup capital to do publishing is hard, and if you can get 1,000 people to order the book, and those 1,000 people pay X amount of dollars, and you can get 500 extra copies that you can now say, hey, retailers, I have 500 extra copies. Do you want to, buy it for your store to sell at your store?
Right. Because I think at this point in the world, I think selling solely online, it does limit your audience. There just isn't a group there are just not groups of people that are online. It's being the Bay Area and being our age and our interest group, it's hard to imagine, but there's still a large portion of the United States does not sit in front of their computer and order everything off Amazon. But the contrary to that is that you do want to have this stuff available online. So you need a balance of both. And I think Mark Waid, in this case, going back to Mark Waid, it'd be stupid for him to cut out digital, but it'd be print, but it'd be stupid for him to ignore digital. You need a little bit of both. And you need everything to make these things work, especially these days where there's so many different things vying for your attention.
It's creative content, and you want people to plug in wherever they're going to plug in. So if it's, I'm going to get in digitally, I'm going to get in digitally. If I'm going to get in with a physical comic, I'm going to get in with a physical comic. It's now no longer, you're fine. Your uncle gives you a couple comic books to read. It's now, your friend says, hey, you should check out this book. It's free to download through this app. Okay, download the app. Download the free comic book.
Why not, Charlie? I mean, you've been reading and buying digital comics here for a little while now, and I know Toby bought a bunch of stuff this weekend. I mean, what's your take going at this point? What are you buying digitally? What are your fear? Because you're the target audience. You see both sides of the counter. So,
to me, I still have issue even remotely paying close to cover price for a book, for a digital book. I think
a lot of people do.
I can't do that. I don't care what the book is. I can't bring myself to do that. So at this point, I'm more than happy to support the stuff that do the combo packs. I'll pay an extra $1 for the digital copy. That's fine with me. And that's also why I tend to only buy stuff that goes into the Comixology sales. But that being said, I don't tend to get stuff that I already own in print most of the time, especially if I've already double dipped in buying the trade. But I do tend to jump on stuff like when they had the Sixth Gun on sale, because I hadn't checked that book out. I knew it's my kind of book, and I could get a good chunk of it for a small amount of money. So
how do you like reading it? Because you don't have an iPad, right? So
I have an Android tablet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is so it's not as big as an iPad. The Android tablets are 7-inch or so.
No, mine's 10.
Oh, okay. You have a bigger one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's exceptional.
Hey now, above average.
Holy shit, both.
But no, I definitely like reading in the digital format, but it doesn't really replace the print format for me either. It's honestly, my love of the digital format really has to do with the way that I pack when I'm going out of town. Because I'm one of those kind of people that if I'm going out of town, I don't care how long I'm going, I always grab comic books to take with me.
Sure.
And I always grab at least 30 issues worth of books. It doesn't matter if it's single issues. It doesn't matter if it's trades. Sometimes I'll have 4 hardbacks shoved in my backpack and whatnot. Yeah. And that takes up a lot of space and is pretty damn heavy when running from flight to flight.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of having my digital tablet on the plane, being able to read the comics and still have a sheer amount ready to read without having to lug around all that. But if I'm at home, I'm like, I bought the Sixth Gun a while ago and I still haven't got around to reading it, because if I'm in the mood to read something at home, I don't reach for my tablet. I reach for my comics.
Yeah. I know with the iPad 3 coming out, they're doing this whole Retina screen and all this the super high def. Comixology is going to have an HD app, which is basically, and they're going to let you re-download all your comics in this much larger format, which apparently they're working on. But it's going to be the full HD and take access to the new iPad's format and everything like that. So that should be cool for people that use that.
I don't know. I don't know. I've tried reading comics digitally.
But your girlfriend buys some too, right?
She didn't. She doesn't read often enough to do it. So I tried to get her to do it.
Yeah.
So there's stuff on her tablet or her iPad, but I mean, I've tried. I found reading Tiny Titans to my son on digital worked phenomenally because it's just with the kids' books, especially, you're going panel to panel, so it's kind of just like you're just reading a picture book to them, even though it's a comic book. So I think I might invest in that a little bit down the road for kids' comics, just to read to my son and for my son to have reading. But I don't know. To me, it's one of those things where I kind of wish I could, click on, if I'm reading it digitally and it references something and you get that little asterisk, then I should be able to kind of just click it and get taken to, like, here's a who's who or a little blurb, Marvel Wiki or DC Wiki.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there because that's kind of the other thing we were going to talk about from last week, which is Marvel's other part of their Infinite Comics, which is sort of doing things like that. They want to have QR codes on the front of their comics so you can, like, scan it with your phone and it pulls up little videos and little movies. The thing you were talking about earlier, Brock, about holding your iPad above the comic as it scans stuff and pops up new information. It's clunky as hell. Like, it looks stupid.
It's one of those things where it's cool if you want to have that extra content, right? Like, scan it with scan a code. Get a little bit of extra content, kind of like, here's a little...
It can pull up character bios and all this stuff, but the setup is ridiculous.
Yeah, the way it was presented was completely... I'm like, the backwards monkey fuck a retard and this came out?
Jesus. You're holding the iPad with the camera on the comic as you read the real physical comic, and then it'll pop up stuff on the iPad as it hits certain pages and panels, and it's like, that's really clunky. Yeah. Like, if there was some... I mean, it would probably work fine digitally if it's a digital comic. Oh, we get to this. Oh, it's a little globy thing. You click on it, and
like
boom, here's your bio.
With the Blu-rays, where you're watching the film, and that little icon appears, and you just hit the button, and it's like, it comes in, you get your information, you go. But it's one of those things where I don't think this is going to be an experience where, as I'm reading my brand new comic book, I'm going to be hitting all these buttons. I'm going to read my comic book first.
It's probably...
it's all this stuff is secondary. It's like...
I think what people will do in the future, this will be something where you have your comic or your trade, and the codes can be there, they can be in the back or whatever, and then it's sort of like a bonus content. Oh, get your phone, get your iPad. Oh, you can scan this. Boom. Now, who's the background on this character? Let's see a little video someone put together. Here's the pencil pages or whatever. Because, they were showing the cover of Avengers vs. X-Men #1, and it's like, all these QR code things, they're all goofy. I have, like, the 3DS in the Nintendo handheld, and that has all the QR things. And it's like, it's cool to do it once, but then, like, I never do it a second time. I never even look at it again.
It's also one of those things where I think that what people don't realize with those QR codes
and all the augmented reality. It's QR is what it is, right? And the AR, like the augmented reality is what the whole thing is called.
I mean, it's so easy for somebody to come and change something to redirect you with those things. Like, you just come in and it's like, oh, look, it's a different, one person gets a sticker that leads you to something, that downloads a virus or steals your information. So that's the other thing that people don't think about. Is like, if I print up a sticker and put it on a, AVX #1 to cover the QR code perfectly, boom, somebody scans it. Now I've completely got all their information off their phone. I've downloaded all their information. I can get access to whatever they access through their phone, be it their Chase banking account, be it, their Comixology, all that stuff.
That's some the net style hackery there, but maybe
I'm just saying. I want to make people a little paranoid about that.
Not to say that there isn't a certain potential for something like that to happen, but I'm not sure they would target a comic.
So perfect example, right? The only problem with that flaw is that you have to have someone that you know is going to scan it. Because I've sold like 50 or 60 copies of Avenging Spider-Man #1. I think like 6 people have redeemed the code. I've not had one redemption for any of the Ultimate Comics we've sold.
Well, what about those $5 coupons?
I haven't seen one. So, like, the amount of people actually redeeming that stuff is fairly limited.
This was the other question I forgot to ask was, I read somewhere that they were, with Comixology, at their panels, they were talking a lot about how the publishers are the ones setting their price points and stuff like that, and how people wouldn't pay 99 cents for something, but now are paying it, would buy it for $1.99. But to me, that doesn't seem right in the sense of, like you, Charlie, you buy stuff more on a sale when it goes for 99 cents versus something that goes for $2.99 when it first comes out, or $1.99.
The deal is this. If the digital comics were $1.99 or 99 cents at launch, that is a direct competition to the retailers who, to this day, are 95% of the market still.
Well, yeah.
So they don't want to piss off the retailers. That's why they do 30 days later. At least DC and some of them. Marvel doesn't, and a few other companies don't. They drop their price by $1, which I'm fine with. If I could get $1 less for every comic on the wall after 30 days, I'd do it too. Like, actually, that's not a bad idea. Like that's not a terrible idea.
Oh shit!
Like,
don't get thinking. Not on the podcast.
So much of this
think on the podcast.
So much of this stuff just sits there after 30. After that first week. So it's like again, 95% of our sales on a book are going to be in that first week. After that, it's like So.
Well, I mean, to me, it just really comes down to the general. I like the digital codes. I mean, I redeem them. I'm willing to pay an extra $1 on something that I'm buying in print to have the code, to have it on my tablet for the day that I'm going out of town and go, I'm going to reread this. But
with Marvel's push to the all $3.99 books are going to have code. Well, no. Well, it's twofold. One, all their books are going to be so all the Marvel comics are going to have codes if they're $3.99.
$3.99.
So what's is going to mean is most of their books are going to become $3.99 fairly soon.
Yeah.
And if this is successful, I could see DC following suit if their New 52 sales don't become what they hope they are.
Well, to me, what it really comes down to, and this is absolutely the way I see it, is yes, pushing your books price points to $3.99 is something where I'm not surprised they're coming with the digital copy, just because I kind of feel like they're trying to justify the $3.99 price tag.
Yeah, they are.
And especially when you look over at DC, and yes, there's some stuff that's $3.99, and then there's some stuff that's $3.99 if it comes with the digital copy, and there's some stuff that's $3.99 or $4.99 if it comes with digital copy. And I like that method better because, as Ryan pointed out, if people aren't redeeming the digital copy, it's basically tossing something for people. And I haven't looked at the Marvel, but I've gotten really tired of like Blu-rays and DVDs and that kind of stuff. Redeeming the digital copy tends to have an expiration date. I don't know if they have expiration dates on the comics currently.
I believe it's 1 year.
It's 1 year, but I think it's strange. It might change per state. So if you live in a different state, it might be different. Because I know California's expiration laws on things like that are a little bit different than other states. Because in other states, gift cards can expire or can expire, but in the state of California, they can't.
Yeah, this is different though. I don't think this matters.
This isn't something you put money. If they can say you're paying for this, but they're saying comes with a free digital.
Right. The digital content on the Blu-rays and DVDs and on the comics are a free.
Yeah.
You're not charged extra for them.
So as long as it's clear on the books that they're saying this is a free digital code included, then they can get away with expiring it 2 days after you buy it.
Well, it's one of those things where I don't know. To me, it seems like the push to digital in the past year has been, at least with DC, has kind of been, with DC and Image and a couple of the companies that went through Comixology, went with the retailers and said, we want to support you. Their push was kind of just this: here's the content, right? We're putting it out there. Same day, date, digital. If you want to buy all digital comics, you can go for it. If you don't, it drops in price. You can buy it then. Or we'll have a sale. You buy it then. Whatever. With Marvel, it's more of, it sounds like they want you to buy the digital comic, where it's, here, just so you know, to justify $3.99 for 20 pages,
Well, of course,
we're throwing you a digital code, but it's like, well, I don't want that digital code in my comic.
Well, you don't have to use it.
Yeah,
but that's the thing.
They're not going to drop the price.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't want that digital code in my comic. I didn't buy the comic to have the option of having a digital code. I bought, Justice League combo pack because it's a combo pack. I bought it because I wanted, the digital copy as well.
Actually,
I didn't even redeem them, but I wanted those.
I actually did mention this on Twitter, I think, a handful of weeks ago, and it's something interesting to think about. Could stores just tear out the digital page in the back of the comics and could I just
we talked about this where it's
could I just sell that
for $1?
Could I just sell it to people for $1? Here's a digital code. Sell it for $1.
Yeah.
I mean,
I already have a friend that when the new movies come out, they have the Blu-ray, 3D, Blu-ray, DVD, digital kind of packs that come out. He's already partnered with people at work, and they all split it and just sort of go, okay, here's your DVD copy. I want the Blu-ray copy. Here's your digital copy. Here's and that kind of stuff is always going to happen when you're doing that kind of stuff. But I mean, to me, what it really comes down to is I like it when you have the option. I like the way that a lot of these now have. You can have the Blu-ray and DVD. You can have the 3D Blu-ray DVD. You can have just the DVD. Some of them even have just the Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I'm all for giving me options, and they all have their own different price points, and you can justify a lot of them at different price points. But I don't like the way that I just saw this as a blatant thing to say, we know a lot of you are upset about the $3.99 price. Well, here's a little extra so you don't feel so upset about it because...
But I don't want it.
You don't have to buy it.
Well, I know I'm not buying any more Marvel, but
there you go. Well, then it doesn't matter.
But people like knowing that they're getting a little bit extra for what they're spending the extra money on, and I understand that. I kind of wish this was handled differently.
Well, it's if Justice League, if they, if DC is like, this combo pack stuff's not working, so on and so forth. But hey, if people like the digital code, if this is something that works, then it works. But it's kind of, I don't know. With Marvel, we talked about this a couple last week. It's like they're throwing something against the wall and see what sticks.
Well, honestly, and I'm sure they wouldn't do this, but if it was even just a thing where
don't put it past the House of M,
you redeem this code and you get $1 on Comixology, or even redeem this code for this old issue that kind of ties into what's going on here, like a past team up between these two characters, or something even referenced in the book, as you said, where you could download a digital copy for something like that.
That I could see justifying, getting a digital code, because it's like, okay, then
you're
I
actually
have this
getting
issue.
Something additional that's different than what you've already bought.
Yeah.
All right.
You hear that, Marvel?
Enough digital crap.
Thank you.
Enough digital crap.
Do you read digital, Omar?
I read some. I jump on Graphically every once in a while just to kind of cruise through a book, see if it's something that I'd be interested in. The same with Comixology.
I like the option with the free downloads for a lot of number ones.
Yeah.
So you can, I want to check out Blue Estate, but I haven't been able to. But I'm like, I'll down. So I think I've downloaded, but I just haven't gotten around. Like you said, I don't reach for my comic books or for my digital, for my girlfriend's iPad or my Android phone when I went home. I reach for my comic books.
Yeah, I like grabbing the Mylar, pulling it out, making sure I don't crinkle anything, and ripping out pages. How can you say something like that? Who's going to do that?
Hey man, I have to tear covers off books all the time.
Oh, okay.
I'm long since over it.
All right.
Let's.
I've done it before, and I'm still not over it.
Let's move on to some sad news from a couple weeks ago. We've lost a fair amount of comic creators over the last handful of years, and it doesn't get much bigger than I'm going to butcher the name because I'm terrible at French. Jean Giraud, also known as Moebius to most Westerners. Actually, I had no idea. Omar, you apparently met him and worked with him.
I got to meet with
briefly?
him. I got to work with Maurice Sendak back in the late 90s. I was working for Sony Development.
Yeah.
Doing the same kind of stuff I do for San Francisco State now, but...
Okay. Well, let's talk about him. And I want to hear the story. I didn't know this.
Okay.
So let's talk about this.
Sure.
Moebius, unknown, Brock, I don't think you were familiar with him.
I wasn't familiar with the name. I was familiar kind of with the work. I'd seen it in books when I was doing filing and stuff. And I was like, I always thought it was really interesting style of artwork.
Moebius
very fantasy. I liked it, but I never jumped into it.
Moebius kind of falls. I kind of like to think under like the artist sort of thing. He doesn't do a lot of mainstream work, and especially in the United States, he's not. He's known by, I think, the creative people, but he's less known by the by the normal comic fans. Well, it's one of the things. Everyone knows who he is. They just don't know that they know who he is.
Sure.
And I think the name just sort of sticks with people once they've heard it at some point.
Sure. So. Besides doing, he's French. Besides doing a lot of comics, the graphic album stuff in Europe, most notably Blueberry and Inkal, he did the full artwork on a really good Silver Surfer book back in the late 80s from Marvel. He more probably what people know him as is the concept design work for movies, including Willow, Alien, Tron.
God, that needs to be made in Blu-ray right now. Willow.
Fifth Element. He did some work on Star Wars. He did. I'm trying to see if I got a full list here. There's some
everything
other stuff.
Else he's listed is already on Blu-ray.
Time Masters, Masters of the Universe.
Okay, we're back to
the Abyss. Yeah. So is one of
Time
those.
Masters. Walmart had that for $7.99 on Blu-ray.
It's a great movie. Yeah. We were talking about Ralph McQuarrie a few weeks ago passing away, and now Moebius. I mean, you're talking about the masters of the science fiction and fantasy film from the 70s and 80s. I mean, all these movies are probably among the most influential. And then his comic artwork is just amazing. He actually did a really good Death pin-up poster.
Yeah, that poster was the...
I knew you'd recognize that.
That's was
Moebius.
amazing.
Yeah, so really sad. Now...
And for people that are also, fans now, Frank Quietly. I mean, also 90s Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys pretty much just looked at his art, stared at it, and it just kind of became their style. I think Miyazaki was another person, obviously, that was really good friends with him. Yep. And he was, I was reading one of his, there was just all, obviously everyone talking about it, giving their homage and their stories about Moebius. And he was saying he wished that he didn't have his style quite down yet, so he could have been influenced by his work because he was just so blown away at how he approached things. But very surreal, but also very realist.
I could still even see that, though. Miyazaki, I can see them being sort of influenced by each other a little bit. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I think the line work on Moebius, the really thin line work for a lot of this stuff, I can see some comparison between the two. So I don't think that's unfair. For those that live in San Francisco, you may know Moebius as the guy that did some of the design work. It's called the Airtight Garage at the Metreon up in San Francisco, which I had no idea. And Omar, you apparently, like I said, kind of met him and worked sort of with his
so
group.
He would come through.
What's the story?
I worked for Sony Development at the time, and I was able to be a part of the process. I was an operations management guy, but I was still brought into a lot of these conceptual meetings where you actually had, you had Moebius walking through, Maurice Sendak, and all these other incredible, just world makers helped to build out this, huge 300,000 square foot concept space that Sony was trying to develop. Actually, we created 3 of them. It was Metreon. That's what most people know. There's Mediaje in Japan, and then there was I think Yellow Submarine in Europe. But for the most part, in Moebius, he was there on the regular basis. He'd fly in from Paris, and this guy was like the Pied Piper with women. He just cruised through, and all these women would flock to him, and all the people. And I was just like, this guy is such a stud. I mean, for the most part, too. My brother, he had tons of. I don't know where he got all these books, but what was it again? Heavy metal.
Yeah, he did. He did some work in heavy metal and Marvel's. What is it? Epic.
Yes.
Reprinted a lot of his work back in the 80s, and a lot of it
was that under Marvel Fanfare, I think, or
I think it was just under the Epic Illustrated.
Okay.
I know Humanoids Publishing now has reprinted some of it to very limited quantities, so getting the Inkal out here is almost impossible again, which sucks because it's really good.
Yeah, so I mean, he pretty much, it was Airtight Garage. Everything that we had all of these craftsmen and these carpenters and these designers do this work on. They used to etch out these. Malvina was a very popular character within. I think was it Airtight Garage? I think it was. And, you know, you just have these like symbols and do all these things. And this guy is just incredible. He would like look at a wall and he'd say, oh, it should be like this. He pulls out paper and starts to sketch things out. And he would be just like this totally unassuming guy. You walk around, you wouldn't know he's like that much of a legend, of course, until you see the big flock around him. In comparison to, say, like George Lucas, who's just like this guy that doesn't want to be around too many people. That I also got to meet, but I like his taste in women.
That's cool. Yeah, I've actually... No... It's the Metreon, but he didn't like design the whole Metreon building.
It was like our game space.
Right.
It was,
they've changed that a few times.
Yeah,
right?
They did. Unfortunately, they ran out of budget. It was a great idea, and it just ran out of money, and then it just continued to go downhill.
Yeah, the Metreon. For those who haven't been in San Francisco, I hate to say I use it mostly for a parking garage because it has the best parking garage in all of San Francisco. But the Metreon is a huge like food. It had like the PlayStation stores there for a long time. They had the Airtight Garage was sort of like it was kind of like an arcade almost, like an open space game space.
Yeah.
There's like, isn't there like even apartments upstairs, or is there apartments attached to it or something? Is it part of it?
Maybe now there is.
I don't know.
But before there was a fourth floor, and it was all based on Maurice Sendak's work, Where the Wild Things Are, the something kitchen. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, they had a lot of little shops. They had lots of a movie theater, of course. The Metreon's mostly known for being a movie theater. So yeah, it's cool. Like that he did this. I mean, obviously. Giant, what'd you say? How big was it?
It was 300,000 square feet.
Yeah, in the middle of
4
downtown.
floors.
Yeah, downtown
it was
San
nuts.
Francisco.
Like
millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, and it was so exciting for like maybe the first year and a half, and then afterwards, just everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah,
so, the good thing about it, I was able to continue to work within Sony, but at the PlayStation Store, and that's where I kind of got my foot in the door with the whole gaming. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, video games. So.
Nice. God, what year was that? I may have even seen you there.
Yeah, I was like 98, 99, 2000.
I was totally up there when that stuff was opening. They had like the little like video game Walk of Fame or whatever that was up there.
Yeah.
Were you there for that?
Yep.
Oh, were you? Okay, that's hilarious. Yeah, I totally went up for that. That's great. Oh, man. See? Knew you before that. Didn't even know it. So, yeah, Moebius. Brock's like, no, whatever.
What?
He works for Marvel. He sucks.
No, I mean, what I really enjoyed about his work joking. Too, I mean, this guy was so like erotic. He went out there, in comparison to say Frazetta, a lot of Frazetta's women did kind of look the same or whatever. If you look at his different work, especially the stuff that we don't really get to see, but you can find it now because it's just everything's out there on the web. I mean, he had all this crazy girl on girl action and all this other stuff, and all these girls, they all look different, and he just like had this fascination for female anatomy that obviously just totally leaked into all of his pages and all of his dripped from his fingers, and
Brock just
Daredevil reference. Damn it.
Yeah, so Moebius, literally one of a kind. So yeah, it really sucks. But hey, what could you do? Hopefully now someone will fucking publish his work here because it's hard to get. Hope. Yeah. I mean, I know they've been doing. Dark Horse has been doing some really nice collections of Milo Manera. Yes. They've been doing these like 3 or 4 stories in like one big oversized hardcover. I don't know why they can't do the same thing for Moebius. Like it's those European graphic albums just wouldn't be a popular format here in America, but you take 3 or 4 of those, you throw it into a nice oversized hardcover, boom, tailor-made for the U.S. So get them out here. Well, I don't know. We were going to talk some Walking Dead finale, but it literally just aired last night. So we're going to, 1, spoiler tag this, but 2, do we want to maybe do like a random pick or 2 before then so we could just end on the Walking Dead? Because I want to talk about that. I don't really have a pick, but if you guys got something.
Yeah, I'm going to go with anything like Marvel Fanfare in the same line of like, Moebius, because he did some incredible covers, or I'm not sure if it was intended to be covers, but I do remember Spider-Man, Wolverine, this fantastic Iron Man. And was there one that was Sauron? Anyways, Marvel Fanfare, I think it was kind of like Marvel Comics Presents. This is back in like late 80s and it went into the 90s maybe.
No, it's you're talking about Fanfare.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And they had like these kind of like mini stories, or some of it was just one shots, kind of like Marvel Comics Presents, but it was in Prestige. It wasn't like Prestige. I mean, it was just much better quality paper and everything, but you could find if you can
find the
find
Baxter paper.
Yeah, the Baxter paper. So if you can go back and jump in your bids and try to pull some of that. You just might find one of those incredible Moebius covers that now I'm sure everyone's trying to jump and try to find in the dollar bins because that's some of the best artwork. The one that I'm sure all of you guys can imagine it. It's like Iron Man. He's walking and it's like there's like a shadow behind him and just kind of has this old 80s style costume, but it's obviously kind of reimagined in the way Moebius does armor work and whatnot. So
cool.
Yes, Marvel fanfare.
Good stuff. Charlie, you got something you want to pimp?
Yeah, I'm going to pimp Conan, Queen of the Black Coast.
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're only on issue 2.
Yeah. Brian Wood and Becky Cloonan.
Yes.
Not mistaken?
I think so. Yeah. So I actually sat down and read those yesterday. Actually, well, I had already read number 1, but I read number 2 yesterday. Really enjoying the book. It's a very different take on sort of Conan than I'm used to because...
He's younger in this, right?
Yeah, he's younger. He's like, I almost want to say a little more... Like the only thing coming to mind right now is like Sinbad the Sailor, just sort of where you don't have... He's not like overpowering to look at. He doesn't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger with a big-ass sword. He's much more... He's kind of got armor on. He's less imposing, but he's still sort of a force of nature, which is really cool. And you can also kind of tell that he's enjoying everything he's doing, even when like he's not supposed to be rooting for the other side. He kind of wants to because he wants that big battle. He wants that. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it, and the art is really nice.
I kind of stopped reading Conan after Kerpusic's run. I haven't read it in the last handful of years, but I do want to pick this up and read it. So I've heard good things. Yeah. Brock, you got something?
Saga number 1. If you didn't pick it up, you're a moron.
And that would be me, evidently.
If you didn't pick it up, it's probably because every store in the country sold out. Including, oh god, I'm going to totally forget the name of the store now. Famous Funnies, I believe, is the name of the store. Real nice guy owns it. Name of Rick. God, I'm totally blanking. I wish I wrote this down. He was like pimping the hell out of this book, and he sold it. He was like, I ordered so many, and I still sold out. So I ordered like new 52 numbers, and we sold out on Friday.
Wow. Yeah.
New BKV and Fiona Staples.
Fiona Staples. You know what? $2.99 for a shit ton of comic.
40 pages.
It was amazing. Yeah. Like Fiona Staples, I'm not a big fan of her artwork. It takes some getting used to just because she's very stylized. So for me, it was a little jarring, but I just love the story. I really want to see where this goes, especially because it's almost as if it's his kind of take on the fantasy sci-fi worlds and going and taking them all and putting them together, and that they're pissed off at each other. It's like the robots or the TV screen humanoid bodies that are fucking each other at war with the fantasy kind of demons and fairies and stuff. And to me, it's like, wow, that's a big world to kind of play around in. But I really enjoyed it, especially since it's narrated by the baby, which is really, really nice because you're sitting there going, the baby's the one talking. Like, the narration is coming from the baby. So it's pretty cool. So I can't wait. I'm actually going to reread it. And he actually wants people to write in old school style letters because he likes letter pages. So I'm probably going to try and.
Cool.
Well, I'm going to wait patiently till we get it back in the shop.
You shouldn't have waited, man.
I know.
So good.
Oh, and thanks for pimping John Carter because I watched it and loved it.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, so
I didn't really pimp it.
I actually got a bunch of messages from people like on Twitter and talking online. A lot of people were like, "Oh, thank you for telling us. I really liked it." Yeah, a lot of people. So
unfortunately, from what I understand, the numbers didn't come in great for week 2.
Yeah, we're apparently the only people that watched it for week 2. I was hoping for a little bit of a bump, but I guess
so was
not.
I. Because it's such a good movie and deserves more.
Yeah, there was like 6 people in the theater with me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
Well, here, I'll do this too before we go to
2 of them were a couple of teenagers just making out in the back.
before we
There's
go
probably
to
some jerking going on too.
I know.
Hey.
Before we get to the end of
Thanks for making it worse.
I know.
I'm going to throw this out before we get to the end of our thing. We're just going to be like Walking Dead spoilers from here on out. Stop. Are we
going to do the outro first and then do the Walking Dead?
No. But I do got something.
Why not? That's perfect.
Last week, we'll do the outro at the end. Last week, I'd asked people, said, "Hey, if you leave us some good reviews on iTunes, we'll read them." So I got one.
Oh,
so and you'll appreciate this, and I'll read this.
Did they say rejigger?
It's from BM Punk. So here's his review. Okay, he wrote a poem for us.
Ooh.
Superman is red, Superman is blue. I listen to the podcast every week. This, I swear, is true. When the DCU was rejiggered, their fanboy love was triggered. I would appreciate a little more talk about Daredevil. We talk about Daredevil all the time. But I'll be happy as long as the sound is level. If you want your comic knowledge to grow, I highly recommend this show. I think the demon himself would be happy at that review. So
nice.
There you go. All right, so if you want us to read your awesome review, or just your name or whatever, give us some reviews on iTunes. It actually helps people find the show because higher reviewed shows float to the top. So get us some more reviews. We've not seen too many reviews recently. So we're going to go ahead and talk Walking Dead season finale and casting announcement spoilers ahead.
And the funny side effect.
So stop listening now if you haven't watched the season finale of Walking Dead yet.
Toodles.
Or pause it.
Or pause it and come back in 45 minutes after you've watched it. So, all right. So... yeah, I don't know. Brock, you haven't watched Walking Dead, but
I haven't watched Walking Dead.
You don't care,
but I don't give a rat's ass because I read the books, and just like Game of Thrones, I know what the fuck is going to happen.
But this isn't like Game of Thrones. I mean, this is different.
It's different, but it's not. I mean, they changed it up just a little bit, and I've seen season 1, and I've seen the changes that they've made, so I understand where they're going with it.
Yeah.
So, and people are like, "Oh, it's slow," and I'm like, "But that's how it's supposed to be."
Right. The comic's slow.
The comic's fast. You read I read that trade like boom, but it's slow. Yes,
that's actually the thing I was wondering is the show seems very slow to me. So I've kind of started to take in the show at least a little bit like I take in the books, because literally you can track how much Walking Dead I've read by how many of those nice slipcase hardcovers have come out. So that's basically the content of Walking Dead that I'm reading at a time. So, yes, a lot happens in 24 issues.
Yeah. Well, I think the case of this show is it's going to be slow during the character development moments. And I think unlike a show like Lost, which had a lot of character development and then a big ending, this has sort of been like a big start, character development, and sort of slight moving in the middle, and then a big finish. And I, mentioned Lost because I want to bring that up again later in the show. But this finale to me was everything I've wanted this season. I liked the first season; it was short, but it had a good punch. There was some really good stuff to it. The drama level in the second season. Some people, my girlfriend, especially Leanne, she was like, "I'm surprised you like this because it's a lot of character movement and slow." But I'm like, "Yeah, but you have the ever threat of zombies just behind it."
Yeah, and I've told people this. I hate zombies, but I love The Walking Dead because it's not about the zombies. It's about the people living in this world. The back of every trade has that no TV, no electricity, no. And you see what these people have to go through, and that's the story that we want to see. We don't, but that's the thing is, zombies are right there. They're gonna, it's going to come at some point,
right? I mean, don't get me wrong. If this show was no zombies and it was just about these kind of, Southerner hillbilly folk living on a farm being jerky to each other, like as Brock knows, I wouldn't watch it. It'd be like whatever. But the zombies are there, and they're going to come up and fuck up whatever situation. So every time they think they're safe, they're going to be there. So it puts a great just tenseness on the show that's going to come in and mess up.
There's a stress. There's a constant stress.
Right.
And because of that constant stress, it allows you to really delve into pretty much how fucked up would humans be if this really happened, because certain things that would seem immoral or whatnot are now completely and totally okay, while there's still lines that need to be drawn.
Sure. A lot of people, I've commented numerous times how much I don't like the show Mad Men. I think the characters are mostly fine, and I don't think it's bad acting. I'm just not interested in the overall plot. This show isn't even all that different from a show like Mad Men, but if Mad Men had zombies constantly about to eat their brains, I could understand their motivation for why they do stuff. So I get why characters act the way they do, because they're freaking stressed out of their mind because the world's ended. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Whereas a lot of these drama shows, I'm always like, I just don't care. But knowing that, Lost was a perfect example of this. There's this ever-present threat, and it makes people act in sometimes dumb ways. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, characters on the show do a bunch of dumb crap, but it's because things are going to eat your face. Yeah. So that's why they do it.
Why would you saw yourself out of handcuffs to get away from the zombies? Because you want to live.
It's better than being eaten by zombies, right?
Wasn't season 8 of Lost supposed to be the zombie season?
Oh, man, don't get me started. So,
he's going to start going through Lost withdrawals air.
Well, no. I did have a slight Lost comparison.
Twitching and drooling involved in that.
As Vanessa, Omar, you've seen the finale. And yes. Did you watch Lost? I don't know.
No, okay. I never really watched too much of Lost. Maybe an episode here or there. But.
Yes.
Okay, we might spoil that for you now, too.
No, it's fine. For those that have seen Lost, I really like the character of Jack, who's just basically the main character of the show. Mm-hmm. He's
if you don't count Locke.
Right. Jack's put in a really crappy position a lot of the time, and I find Rick is basically the main character in Walking Dead. He's basically been put in the same position where it's a position of power that he doesn't want necessarily, but he finally accepts it, and when he accepts it, everyone gets pissed off at him for basically saying, no, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do. So now, and Jack flipped out in Lost, and now Rick has basically been like, fuck all y'all, you're following me or you get the hell out. And the end of that episode was just so great where he just loses his goddamn mind and starts screaming at everyone because it's like, this is
it's people look to have people in a position of power and to lead and to help them.
But then they blame them.
But they don't want it.
Right, they don't want it. Every time he says something, they want somebody
to blame besides themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think during the course of this second season, we've seen not Rick. His buddy Shane, sorry, yes. Who they killed off very, very, very nicely in the last episode. Shane has done what...
Big spoiler. Shane died.
He was supposed to die at the end of the first season. But
Shane has done what needs to be done, but not in the way it needed to get done. So it's like the things Shane has done throughout the show have all been for the group, but not in the way it should have gone around. So... in the case of what Rick's doing, it's like, okay, you're trying to maneuver these multiple pieces on this chessboard at the same time. You're trying to move everyone in the position, make sure everyone's happy. You're trying to limit the amount of damage done, and you have someone like Shane coming through just being like, fuck it all, I'm going to let these zombies out, and we're going to kill everything. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem, with people. I've talked to a lot of people like, oh, but Shane was like the only reasonable person. It's like, yeah, but he went about it the most unreasonable way, and Rick's really trying to balance the act.
I think the problem is people lost who Shane was in between the first season and the second season, because I've seen the first episode of the second season, and you kind of lose that he's a douchebag.
I don't think you lose it at all. You pretty much reminded every episode he's a douchebag.
You're reminded, but the thing is you're reminded because you lost that feeling that you had in the first season where it just builds and builds and builds, and now it's like we just have to keep reminding you that he's a douchebag.
No, you need to watch the second season. Well, every episode he gets worse and worse.
He gets worse? Okay.
So every episode.
The funny thing about douchebags and like Shane and what's the guy's name again? The actor? I forget his name. Yeah. This dude is like, the women love him.
Yeah,
he's like,
women love him.
And like, I don't know what they're going to do to
butter my bread.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do to replace that kind of sex appeal, because like I remember when he did that whole scene where he's shaving his head, I was like, all my girlfriends, they're just like, they're like, yeah.
Well, so this episode, this finale, the big giant herd goes and basically demolishes a farm and kills a handful of
and they actually refer to him as a herd.
Yeah. Kills a whole bunch of the supporting characters. And we were also introduced to someone who we were apparently not... who I guess they said, this character is not going to be in the show, but they are. Michonne,
that was
katana-wielding...
fucking incredible.
Badass black chick with friggin' 2 zombie dog human things chained to her. So, yeah. And then the last shot is... they're like, well, where do we go now? And it pulls up, and the prison's off in the distance. Yeah. So, and that's coming up. And then we already knew they cast the governor.
Yeah, they cast the governor.
So this is
I still need to read that novel that they put out.
Oh yeah, the Rise of the
I need to get a copy of Playboy to read that
backstory.
7-Eleven doesn't have it. Liquor stores don't have it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Playboy has a exclusive Walking Dead story, and I swear that's the only reason I bought it.
Did you buy it yet?
No, I have not bought it yet, but I only read Playboy for the articles.
Exactly.
So I only read Playboy for the comic books.
I only read it for the articles and to see that women have not changed as I age.
But that already started? I thought that was just announced.
No.
Yeah, it came out
like
this
last
Thursday,
week or
Friday.
something. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I need to go to Barnes & Noble or something to find this.
I'm hoping it's going to be in issue 100. I'm not buying Playboy, but I'm sure they'll have it in the trade or they'll have it in issue 100 or something.
You can't be a man and buy a Playboy?
I don't need
You're
Playboy.
33, 2-3 years old?
Yeah.
You can't even buy Playboy?
I'm 2 or 3 years old, yes.
China.
No, I'm fine.
So anyway,
I'll buy the trade.
I am actually kind of curious to know what the print run of Playboy is at the moment compared to the print run of Walking Dead.
It's probably just about the same.
No, you'd be surprised.
Are you saying what sells more, zombies or sex?
Just in general,
I'm just curious, just because
you can't combine them. We found that out with Zombie
I don't
King.
know what the sell-through on porn magazines are these days, but it's probably not very high. So print and shipped is one thing, but actual sell-through is a different one. So
well, I mean, the liquor store here no longer has magazines.
That's because everybody from the comic shop went immediately over there.
No, they don't even have magazines anymore. Yeah. They had them about 4 months ago, and finally got rid of them.
Oh yeah, we were there when they were like taking them all out.
Shelf.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And it's like all the liquor stores don't have it. I mean, they have like this hanging metal rack of this is Us Weekly and like random shit in the Weekly World News or some shit. But like,
it'll
don't really carry too many magazines anymore.
But
you'll have to go to the airport.
Yeah. Oh, I might have to. Just go to the gate. Dude, can you just... Security, dude, I just need to buy...
You grab like 20 copies of Playboy.
I just need to buy a Playboy. What? I don't want to get on a plane. I just want to go to that news kiosk. It's right around the corner right there.
Just go buy me a Playboy and bring it back.
Bring it back.
Well, so Walking Dead...
Money is not laced with anthrax. Just go!
This season has had... there's slow episodes in the middle of the season. I'm not going to lie, but the
first half of the season had slow episodes. I would say since they brought it back, they've had sped things up quite a bit. Actually,
I'd agree with that. I mean, I loved the first episode with talking about the herd. Just the whole first half of that episode where they're just trapped under the cars. Yeah, super intense. All the stuff with them in the bar with Shane, with Rick and what's his name, Herschel.
Yeah.
Great scene. And
Glenn, come on. Don't forget about Glenn.
Glenn's awesome.
He is my hero.
Dude, apparently he is fucking like, the world's greatest shot of all time. I don't think one person missed a headshot in that last episode. But whatever. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
We missed all the shots where they missed. It's totally okay. I got no every shot's an eye shot. I don't care. That's fine.
I will say this. In terms of, like, they talk about how nobody's safe on the show. There'll be differences. Some people like Shane will survive longer. Some people will die sooner.
Well, Herschel didn't die, which
I will say this now for sure. For me, they can't kill Glenn anytime soon. For me, it's just love him in the comic book, love him in the show. I like him more than probably any other character on the show. So yeah, can't kill Glenn.
No,
at least not yet. Give it a while.
And please don't kill Maggie, please.
Do you like them together?
I just like her. She's a hot Australian chick.
It'd be cool to see them adapt the group as it goes on. Again, kind of in a similar way Lost did, where they brought in a lot of new characters, and you were surprised with who stuck around. I think, if some of these characters maybe catch the audience's attention a little bit, like I'm so bad with names. What the hell's his name? The hit guy with the crossbow.
Daryl.
Oh yeah, Daryl.
I mean, Daryl's
awesome.
Yeah, and it's like there's a character that it's cool, and it's like, this guy's totally out of random, but he kind of comes up in the show, and it's like, wow, they're doing really cool things with this character, and it brings a nice dynamic to it.
Yeah.
Someone said, hey, now that Shane's dead, who's going to be like the the antagonist or whatever? But it's like the zombies, right?
It's the thing
but
is
you need someone in the group.
You need someone in the group, but the thing
governor.
is it's
Governor's not in the group.
But someone in the
Walking Dead changes. I mean, reading the comic book. I mean, I need to go back and reread them. I think I'm going to do it after the 16th trade comes out, which is soon, or like a couple months, I think. And for those of you who only read the compendium, yes, they are doing a compendium too.
Yeah, I have the first compendium.
So just because you lose one character doesn't mean that there's not trouble brewing with other characters. There's not, animosity building up. There's not this, and the thing is new characters I didn't watch Lost, but new characters are going to come into this show. I mean, I always thought it was a good idea for a show because it's like you can have, just people coming in and acting like, oh, look, this random movie actor who really likes Walking Dead and wanted to be on the show for a minute comes in as a character and then leaves. So it has a good dynamic for that, but there's always going to be something besides the zombies. So like the Governor's one, then you have a lot of stuff in the comic book that comes out, especially with just the group itself, because the group dynamic changes when somebody dies.
Right.
What's the wife's name again? Olive Oil. She must die.
I have a
Lori, there you go.
Weird question, actually. I remember when season 2 was first getting really promoted, they were talking about having a lot of cameo zombies.
Oh, I don't think they ever did that.
Yeah, I don't remember recognizing any zombies going, hey, look, that's so-and-so.
Did you see, what is it called, Zombieland? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Did you see that?
That was a great movie.
See, I liked it until the Bill Murray part.
I liked the Bill Murray part.
That really took me out of the movie. And that just...
Didn't those zombies run and jump?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch it.
Yeah, that just to me was a little too... So if I saw like famous actors, zombie people walking, if they end up in Hollywood for whatever reason and maybe like a funny couple episodes, but like kind of just weird and not talked about, but I don't know, I don't like that type of stuff.
I guess the artist, what's his name?
Prince?
No. Sure. The artist on Walking Dead.
Charlie Adler.
I guess somebody contacted him about their
being in it.
Buddy really, really is into The Walking Dead, and he's like a comic book store owner. And so he drew his boss into the 6-issue Michonne origin story that's in Playboy.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, I mean, I thought that was cool. And yeah, I'm like, if they had, I think it'd be cool to kind of have, those zombie cameos where it's like, those are like little Easter eggs where it's oh, look, here comes, Bill Murray as a zombie. Oh, look, here comes Angelina Jolie as a zombie. Oh.
But, I mean, that's the thing. You wouldn't be like, hey, look, that so-and-so as a zombie. You make them somewhat mutilated or whatnot. Like, go over the top on the gore factor and make it something like you could almost miss it.
You can almost miss it, or you want to give it just enough time, like with the bicycle chick, where you see it, you can analyze it enough. If you don't get it, you don't get it, but if you do, it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, the Walking Dead finale got a 9.2 million viewers for its rating, which is really good. It's the highest the show's ever had.
Just so everybody knows,
insane.
I got exactly
for any cable show.
Yeah,
it was one. What's 929?
Oh yeah, and Brock. So 9.2 million viewers, and like 0.001% of them Googled hooded chick walking dead,
and got my web on conspiratorBrock.com for the hooded girl
from 52. Yeah. And Brock suddenly got 1,600 hits or something like that.
900 hits. Like I check my stats to see how everything's going, to see if it's if it's increasing or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like today, I log in and there's this huge ass spike, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I look over at the number. It's like 800. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay, why did it what time did it happen? It happened between, was it 6 and 10 last night. Yeah. And I was like, Walking Dead. But first I thought, oh great, I got like bit or like some like
spam botted
or something where they they just trolled through.
Sure.
No, these were actual paid impressions.
Good for you.
People.
Who would have thought?
Like,
who would have thought Michonne and Pandora would have this connection and
it
would equal?
So, do you know this actress, Denai Guerrera?
I think I've seen her in a couple of those Law and Order episodes.
Yes, I don't. She good? She cool?
She's pretty sexy.
She looks the part.
She's pretty sexy. Yeah, she was. I think in a few episodes of Treme, which is another show. On show HBO, yeah. It's HBO. It was showing after Game of Thrones, I think. I watched a few of the episodes. So,
cool. Yeah, she looks good. So, and that shot of her was badass. At the end of the episode. So, yeah. So I hope they really I hope that's a character that can stay on the show because she's obviously in a big part of the comic. And now is the perfect time for me to sell my 9.8 graded Walking Dead number 19 first appearance of Michonne. So look for that on eBay pretty soon. Excellent. Fund this podcast a little bit.
Why don't we have a donate button to fund the podcast?
I'd rather just people buying comic books. All right, we're going to go ahead, unless anyone's got anything any last... Brock, you're going to pick up Walking Dead when it comes out on Blu-ray, I assume, right? So
yeah, I'll watch it when it comes out on Blu-ray.
We'll get your opinion on the
yeah, I'm
season.
Sorry I don't participate in the
fine.
Pay for cable every month. And
It's fine.
So... But with stuff like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, it doesn't really get spoiled for me.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I can't wait for Game of Thrones this next month, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Can't wait. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. We should be back next week with Toby. I think he'll be here next week.
As long as there's not a basketball game.
As long as he survives having his balls cut off and thrown in a basket or whatever the hell this game is about.
What the heck is up with this episode making people eunuchs?
Well, it goes back to the beginning.
Oh, yes, and Charlie,
come here, Omar.
Charlie should actually be back here next week to wrap up
X-Sanction
number
4.
Your final cable podcast for 2012.
Yeah, but then I'll start up on the Avengers versus X-Men.
But that's every other week, and that's
perfect.
We need to do something funny for that. Like, literally, no offense to... No, fuck it. Offense to Marvel. It sounds like it's like literally a comic book for the video game. So we need to do some kooky thing.
Well, I will say this. Tuesday, April 3rd, which happens to be my birthday. Happy birthday
that's right. It's coming out on your birthday?
We are going to be having a 8 p.m. sale for Avengers vs. X-Men number 1.
We're Avengers.
Huh?
We're Avengers.
We're whatever. Everyone's whatever now. They got rid of that.
They got rid of that?
Well, if you ordered X amount of books, you basically got all the incentives and all the variants and everything. So we way overshot it because of this whole freaking ridiculous, basically free copy thing.
Yeah.
So we'll have all the variants, all the promos, all the special stuff. So 8 p.m. Tuesday, come by and say happy birthday to me. And then buy some Avengers vs. X-Men. We're going to have it here at the store. We're going to have a party, probably some music, some food,
Sweet.
Just comics.
Yeah, and Hero clicks to that one that one reader that on the podcast he said, don't talk about HeroClix, another fucking hobby or something. Yes, there's going to be HeroClix, and I think Galactic Guardians is coming out.
Oh, that's the same
3rd.
week.
Yes.
Well, it's
a week after now?
No, it's a Wednesday.
Wait a second. Is the Big Bang Theory board game coming out that week?
Hopefully not.
No.
So HeroClix is that following week.
Yes.
Does HeroClix fall under the same thing where it can only be broken open at 11 a.m.?
Yes. Cannot come out on Wednesday. Sorry. But we'll have Avengers vs. X-Men. Hopefully we're not here till midnight, but maybe we will be. I don't know.
Party, let's rage.
Yes.
Yeah, but 8 p.m., which is better than the midnight sales we've had to have before. So 8 p.m. is a little more reasonable. I can get home at a fairly decent hour, especially because Tuesday is already my 15-hour day.
Are you actually going to take a nap?
Oh, hell, I can't. When would I be able to? When?
You get the shit done. You get done. You go in the back with a cot, and I'll just run shit.
I'm not going to sleep. I could sleep in the back.
Oh, you could.
I'll be here from 6 in the morning till 2 a.m. or something like that, so that's going to suck. Geez. But whatever, that's fine. All right. So look for that. And we're going to have a sale in a few weeks as well. So
we're having a birthday
here as well. Huh?
We're having a very special birthday next week.
Oh, yes. And next week is also our 1-year anniversary of the podcast, our 50th episode. Missed 2, one from our bad. Well, no, one.
One is our lost first episode.
No, it was before that. So that was actually our -1 episode because we skipped a week real early on.
Oh, yeah.
And then a few weeks ago, we had that episode that didn't record properly, so we've missed 2 episodes. But yeah, 50 episodes, 1-year anniversary, followed by Avengers vs. X-Men sale, then some other crap. So it's big, a lot of crap going on.
Fun.
So. Store turns 19.
Yeah. Also, in the beginning of April, store's 19 years old at that point, so it's almost there, Brock.
Fuck.
You can almost have the store drink.
Shit.
All right. Time to get out of here. If you want to listen to this episode again or any of our other episodes, go to www.geekbox.net or the comic. Brock's like trying to lip sync to what I'm saying, or comicsconspiracy.biz. You can also go to forums at geekbox.net where you can talk to all of us in the cool comic forum and all the other garbage on there. Comment on the thread. Don't forget to go to iTunes and review us on iTunes. 5 stars only, and we will read your review and your funny messages or whatever you tell us on there. And if you hate us and give us 5 stars, we'll read that too.
Mention Big Bang Theory Rejiggered, and you get a big shout out.
Jesus. We're all on the Twitters and the Facebook. On Facebook is just under Geekbox. On Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock Sager, Insanity in Chaos, I remember.
Comics and a Kind.
And Comics and a Kind. And Toby is Toby XI. And he'll be back next week. I think that's everything. Did I forget anything? Oh, digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Go buy our comics. Go bitch at Marvel and at Dark Horse Comics.
Yes.
Tell them to get on the digital bandwagon for us to sell you their comics, because I like money. And they like money too. Mm-hmm. And you will like comic books. And you like giving your money to us to buy comic books. And you can't right now. So make them change that.
And hopefully Comixology will switch over to the HTML5.
We've had a few people asking about that. Comixology is in the process of switching over to HTML5 for the comic retailer site for us. So soon-ish. Hopefully by the summer. They're working on it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm like Q&A I do testing for them with links whenever I do deep links, because Ferrist wasn't even showing up.
A bunch of stuff is broken.
And it was like, it wouldn't even show up on the main page. And I was like,
I couldn't get the Walking Dead and Invincible sale to load through us. It kept going to a blank page. I couldn't log into the retailer site this morning, so lots of issues. But they fixed it. They're pretty good about fixing that stuff. So
I think this is the first time I've ever seen Brock's hair.
What? He took off his hat.
I know.
Well, it's a Green Lantern hat, and there was a movie called Green Lantern, so he has to burn that hat now.
Why?
Because you hate Green Lantern.
I don't hate Green Lantern.
I hate Big Bang Theory.
You hate Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Okay, we'll end right there.
Conspirator Brock.
Don't talk about hitting Green Lantern in front of Charlie.
Cue the porn music.
Boom, boom, boom.
Maybe we should have music for the fight sequences.
All right.
Like Gambit versus Jubilee. Wait, that doesn't work. It's Gambit versus Wasp. That would work.
What?
He wants to put sound effects into the podcast when we talk about the different verses, so you can do like the whole Street Fighter opening.
I was gonna say like Mortal Kombat fight.
Yeah.
No,
it's like you're Captain America and I'm Wolverine. Fight.